Hello everyone, welcome to this episode Between the Studs. I'm your host Mark. Today I'm joined by Alex.
Hey everyone.
And Daniel.
How's it going?
And for this episode, we're going to be going back to a theme we haven't really touched on since the first time we talked about it, and that is parts that are usually thrown away. The very unusual elements. In this case, Daniel, you specifically pulled every single thing on this table out of the trash.
I want to do the intro. I'm
Okay,
do the
go
intro
ahead.
instead. Welcome to another Atlanta Brick Co. training video. If you're watching this, you must be one of our sorters who's on probation for throwing away real Lego. In this video, you'll learn about Lego that's commonly thrown away and why you should keep it. How's that? Was that?
Yeah, well,
brilliant.
to the sorter's credit, they do a pretty good job, and these are somewhat unusual.
Oh no, they're all on probation.
Yeah, they're all on probation, except
They're all on probation.
Is Ed on
We have a
probation
shortage.
too?
Ed's on
Shortage.
probation.
Yeah. We thankfully have plenty of bulk stashed away, so we won't need them for a few weeks. But no, this is so you literally pull these out of the trash, isn't that
Correct.
right?
So
Yeah.
we have a trash box that doesn't get thrown away until somebody who's as smart as I am gets to look through it.
Someone with the Lego know-how.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And all of this was genuine trash. So the last time we did one of these videos, I think it was you and Chris.
And it was implied.
Just
that,
kind of doing things that
Yeah.
we think typically get thrown away. And maybe a couple of them had been pulled out of trash. But everything you're going to see today was, in fact, in the trash.
got filtered out and thankfully saved. So
Correct. And that's why we save it.
exactly. But we've each have 6 pieces to talk about, and there's no good or bad. It's all just wow, I can't believe that exists. But if you have a cool mock idea, I'd love to hear it because
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like some of these definitely could be some unusual NPU, nice part usage. Here.
Oh,
So,
absolutely. Yeah.
the first one I want to talk about, and I'm surprised we didn't talk about this on the first episode of what parts that are commonly thrown away. But this is the Atlantis key holder, part number 87750. Only came out in 2 different years, but I'm guessing almost exclusively to Atlantis sets, and I think a Pirates of the Caribbean
Yes.
Fountain of Youth set, if not mistaken, because that's where I got these for my collection. But it looks a little Mega Block-ish, like kind of. It
Yeah,
could fit
I
in
can
one
see
of
that.
those sets because of the unusual texture, the mold. It looks very unique. What do you guys think about this piece? Would you have guessed this to be a Lego piece if you weren't familiar with the Atlantis sets?
I would say if you're looking at the top of it, it's maybe not immediately obvious. The bottom of it is kind of a dead giveaway because it looks almost exactly the same as a 4x4 round plate. But I could see how this would get thrown away for sure. It's a very unconventional piece looking at it from the top.
Yeah, no studs.
Yeah.
No connections of that type. There's a pin connection in the center, I
Yeah,
think.
even
so.
the discs kind of just sit loosely in there. They don't really snap in there. I don't think there's anything you can really do to attach anything to the top.
Now, Alex, were you familiar with Atlantis and
I was,
the Pirates
so,
of the Caribbean
like,
set?
Growing up with Atlantis and then, Pirates of the Caribbean, I recognize this piece. But for someone that isn't as familiar with it, I can definitely see just from the get-go, oh, this isn't Lego. It's like, when you flip it over, it looks Lego, and you can see the Lego symbol, part number.
So there is a fine print in
So you
there if
can,
you're
like,
looking close.
Identify it, yeah.
That's good.
Take close enough look, but from the top, it really does look Mega Block.
Now, I think most of the parts we have here will have some sort of Lego, the name and the part number on
Some
them.
do, some don't.
I was about to say,
we can talk about that.
We'll get to
We
some
can hunt for
weirder
that on
ones
all
in the
of them.
future, but that's my first part I wanted to present
Yeah.
for you guys. Alex, what's the first part you want to show off?
Yeah, so I'm going straight in with probably the best one I found was part number 4434, a Fabuland part. Fabuland
Nice.
utensil musical instrument. It's a tuba horn.
A
Right
tuba.
here. It's pretty good size. It's not just Fabuland though. It did come in one of the original Mickey sets, number 4165, which was Minnie's birthday. Then you see it in orchestra, and I think it was Pierre Pig and his tuba was the set, one of the Fabuland ones. So an amazing piece, but it really does not look Lego at all. What are your thoughts on it?
If I didn't have some vague recollection of some Fabuland sets, I would immediately assume that was either Playmobil or Polly Pockets or some other older toy that is not Lego. Although the grips on the side, now that I see them, do give it away a tiny bit.
You do have the 2 bar grips on the side. Now, this is not going to be very fun because I pulled all of these out of the trash, so I know, I know
yeah.
they're not Lego.
You could
But
summarize.
I can look over these. I don't see Lego printed on this anywhere. Or even, sometimes even if it doesn't say Lego, there'll at least be a mold number or a copyright symbol. I'm really not seeing anything on this one.
Struggling to find anything.
So you have to, you just have to know.
You have to know of
Yeah,
these very specific sets from the 70s.
I don't see anything on there. I think that was also one of our more valuable parts on the table today as well.
It is, yeah. It goes from anywhere $3 to $13, but
Ooh, wow.
I think we have some on Bricklink. They're like $15 on there. So
Wow.
So if you want one, you're gonna have to kind of pony up a few dollars for it. Versus, most of these pieces will be 10 to 20 cents, but that's gonna be a specifically collectible one. So
yeah. Any mock ideas with this?
That's
like
pretty
such a-
specifically a
Yeah.
tuba.
yeah, it's very much an instrument. However, I could see that on. Have you ever seen those? It's like a traveling act where there's like a one-man band. I'd love to slap one of those on a one-man band Miniland figure.
Yeah.
That'd be really
That'd be
fun.
amazing.
Yeah,
I could see doing. Is it from the animated The Grinch Stole Christmas, where they're all like riding around on this like giant thing
Yeah.
with like horns and drums? Same
yeah,
kind
that
of,
could-
sort of like a one-man
wow.
band thing.
giant vehicle with a horn. Yeah.
Something like that.
Some
Something
sort
it's
of-
very Dr. Seussy
yeah.
looking, kind of cartoonish. tuba.
Steampunk-esque. You could almost
Yeah,
see that.
steampunk. I was thinking when I was looking at it, like you could put it on some kind of animal big build, like a big snail or something as the eyes, and like build around it or something.
Oh,
I don't know. You could.
there's
Many
unlimited
opportunities.
uses. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
With the bar connections, you could put it on stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Well, Daniel, what's the first part you want to talk about
I'll do
today?
another big chunky yellow part here. This is part number 92009, I think. I left a weird space in there. But it's the Duplo Dish 3x3. So it's like a big radar dish that you can stick on top of something. I think it was in a couple like airport sets. I think there was a police
Nice.
station as well. So just like a big radar looking dish on the top. It does say Lego right inside the center of that stud, but I mean if you're looking at the back or the side of this thing, I mean this looks like nothing. This looks like maybe like a part of like a toy stethoscope or something from like a doctor's kit or something from something else. So it definitely doesn't look like Lego on first glance unless you look inside that stud. But again, not a very valuable one, but something interesting.
Yeah,
Not surprised that one was thrown away at all.
at first glance, that doesn't look Lego or Duplo
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you study that one specific inner stud, it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think of dishes or discs in Duplo form because it's normally
Right.
always very blocky.
It's not very common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
see,
I think it only came in about 5 sets, maybe not even.
Yeah, I feel like that's almost like a complementary
Yeah.
piece to that tuba too. What do you think,
Interesting.
Alex?
Yeah,
There you
you
go.
could put it in a mock together.
Yeah,
So,
almost. Not maybe not quite. So, but pretty cool, Daniel.
Thank you. What do you got, Mark?
All right. For my second piece, also a dish, we have
There
this.
you
We actually
Have a
talked
theme
about
going.
this specific element not too long ago in our going back in time. I think it was to 2006, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I
just a
think
few
that's
weeks
right.
ago. And this is the container lid for an X-Pod. So I think this is actually from the Dyna one, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the similar green
The lime
themed
green
ones.
was one of the later ones, yeah.
And so the part number for this is 47675. Came out in 2004, went all the way to 2007 before they stopped making this particular mold. But yeah, I have many fond memories of X-Pods. We talked about this at length in the time travel episode not too long ago, so I won't I won't wax lyrical about it. But do you guys remember X-Pod, and would you guys think this would be thrown away? I think that the 4 studs on top would make this more obviously Lego.
Should be a
I
dead
agree.
giveaway,
Yeah.
yeah. Pretty disappointed in our sorters.
What a bunch of bums, yeah. So, Alex, you're familiar with X-Pods, right?
I am. I never was into it or collected that growing up, but I did see them in stores and things like that. So
That's good.
yeah, it's a very interesting part. It's not just the way it was designed. It's not your normal looking Lego part for sure.
It doesn't snap down on anything that easily. I think there is at least one anti-stud connection there, but
There's a stud, you can put an axle through it, and then you got those 4 studs on top.
a couple points, but nothing too crazy.
Yep.
Yep. Any NPU that strikes out to you guys? Because I'm thinking of a lily pad.
Oh,
but-
these are
Yeah.
are in tons of mocks. You see them in space things all the time as like cargo pods, or you can stick it on the side of a big radio antenna
A
or
big
something.
dish,
So
yeah.
it's a big radar dish or something.
useful
Makes a lot of
piece.
sense.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, Alex, what's the next one you want to bring up?
Number 2, I've got a projectile disc, 2x2. It has a marbled yellow pattern. It comes in lime and red. I have a red one here, and it's part number 53. It's a long one. 993 PB01.
Can we get that one more time?
Yeah. All right, everybody, get out your pens and notebooks. It's 53993 PB01.
There you go.
And this is a very cheap part. It's only on average 15 to 50 cents, depending on condition. It appeared in a lot of Exo-Force sets. You probably recognize this for
That's
sure.
where I remember it. Yeah.
But also it came on an Avatar The Last Airbender set.
Yeah, an
The
Air
Air
Temple.
Temple, yep, 3828. It's just a really fun feature. Very small part. Probably one of the earlier projectile launcher things Lego did.
and more unique. Yeah.
Exactly. So It's kind of hard to tell that it's a Lego part. It has Lego on there, like the symbol and everything, but it really, like, when you're not looking at that side, it doesn't look Lego at all. It looks very non-Lego, and unless you look very closely for that Lego print on there, you can see why this got put in to be thrown away.
Exactly. It's this is more easily understood that it's commonly thrown away. For me, this is the combination of a Lifesavers and a Smartie. You know what I'm saying? It's like it looks like a little candy of some kind.
Definitely falls into that candy category.
Yeah, looks like you'd.
Maybe that's a whole separate video. Lego that looks like candy.
Lego that looks like you want to chew on it. No, so I get that vibe from it. But we also talked about this on that time travel episode too, because that book, Exaforce and the Avatar set all came out in 2006, if I'm not mistaken. So we were discussing that at length as well. So a very unusual piece, Alex. Very cool. So.
Yeah.
And if they're that cheap, I might have to get a few more to fill up my launchers, because I have a couple of those. So
I think they're on the website.
They're on the website, so we can go to atlsburger.com and get them. Nice. Very cool.
We need those all the time when we're certifying sets, because they're projectiles, so like anything else, they get lost very easily. But being a very specific part to that, they're not the easiest to find.
Exactly. Well, Daniel, what's the next element you want to present for us today?
I'm going to do part number 48203. This is the rubber baby buggy bumpers.
Is that what they're called?
No, it's called Technic Rubber Bumper.
Okay. That still sounds weird in the UK, I'm sure, but yes.
Yeah, rubber baby buggy bumpers. These came out between 2003 and 2006 in a handful of sets. I think the most notable one for most people was a police style. It was like a hovercraft.
Yep.
And so there's these modified 1x4 Technic bricks with this kind of rail that stands off it, and then there's also ones with this like angled bend in it, and these rubber bumpers would kind of snap onto those, and because they've got these beveled edges, it actually made this really nice kind of clean wraparound bumper for that style hovercraft. Now later on, I want to say more like, I guess it was after probably like 2006, maybe 2008 or so, there was a fire hovercraft where they just replaced it with one big giant molded black piece that sort of added that bumper effect all the way around. But having this actually be rubber, you could slide the hovercraft around and bash it into walls and stuff, and it would be okay. So these parts are typically pretty beat up, and I mean this doesn't look like Lego at all. This looks like a piece of window trim or a door insulation or something. Yeah. For all we know, Lego probably bought this from a manufacturer who was making something like that and just adapted it to their needs. This sure doesn't say Lego anywhere on it, so
amazing.
I know for a fact even people like Ed have thrown these away. So Ed knows a lot about Lego, but something like this is very easy to just toss out amongst all of the other detritus that we get mixed in with Lego down there in the sorting room.
Exactly. An extremely niche element, because it only was, was it, 2005?
3 through 6.
Just a couple years, couple of sets. Yeah. If you don't know
very
exactly how those pieces connect and how they make that set, you're not going to recognize that.
It was a nice little system. The modified Technic bricks are also really nice little pieces with the little sort of standoff thing. That
the bumpers.
Very unique, yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Alex, are you familiar with those from those specific sets?
I was not, no. So, and it does not look Lego. But
so you could have been bamboozled. So
it's possible, yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, not everything that is Lego has Lego, so you have to keep that in mind.
Exactly.
When looking at parts. So.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. And on the last episode of parts that are thrown away, me and Chris talked at length about the quality of Google Lens on the Google app.
Right. Yeah.
And I literally went through and identified every single piece from my list very quickly with that. So if you
it's getting better since the last time we did this
I would say
video.
It's way better. So if you have any thoughts like, oh, is this a Lego piece? You can quickly find out as long as it's on a white background. You get a sheet of paper or something.
That's a nice tool.
Absolutely. So
I'll try it on mine while y'all are taking
not a sponsor, no affiliation whatsoever, but it literally does work pretty well. Some of those are pretty weird though, so maybe we'll get fooled.
Well, you can start your turn and I'll see what I can find out.
I'll go ahead and get started, and Daniel can research and see how well it works. But this one here, Alex, you might like because it has some Bionicle lore to it. But this is the Bionicle Mystica Naira Ghost Blaster Body. That's awesome. The full name on Bricklink. The Bricklink number as well as 61808 would have come out only in 2008, which is surprising to me because I thought it was a few more years present. But this would have been in the Mystica and I think even the Fantoka and some other kind of later era Bionicle
kind of getting
sets.
Towards the end.
Yeah. And it would have also been an assembly with an air pump on the back and a big lime green dart with two air catching, flaps, basically, like an arrow.
Yep.
And so you could launch this pretty conveniently at your enemies, and it was a great little shooting system that they abandoned after a single year.
I know.
So Alex, do you remember these pieces in sets? Do you remember seeing these?
I remember seeing those. That was a wave of the first, that generation that I didn't get as many of. So I never got to enjoy, I think, it for myself growing up.
Yeah.
But it's still a really cool part, really cool feature. I mean, Bionicle almost always knocked it out of the park.
Exactly.
Had a play feature like this.
Yeah, they did pretty good with most of their physical features. And this is actually one that I got as a kid. I think it was a yard sale find, actually.
What a fun.
So I got a couple of these, and it was a good deal. But this part actually gives me a lot of NPU ideas, too, because...
Yeah, you were excited about that.
You've
kind
got
of thing about mock ideas.
Exactly. You've got the cannon end, of course, but then I see the other end, these kind of side flanges, as almost like a mechanical hand, like a grabber arm. So like you're doing not a coin drop, but carnival game where you're trying to...
Claw game.
Claw game, that's the word. Trying to grab a tuba, for example, and you could just... it doesn't grab. Yeah, it doesn't have very good grip strength.
The Toy Story aliens.
Exactly. Claw game. So that's my thought. Do you have any ideas for NPU on this, Alex?
Oh, great question. I mean, yeah, when you mentioned that, I could see that as well. I feel like it could be cool for like if you wanted to make like a supersized Bionicle, making like horns or something like that, or even like for shoulder armor or something. I don't know. There's just so many possibilities with this part.
It's pretty interesting.
But yeah, in terms of like it looking Lego or not, it's kind of an in-between for me. I feel like if you're familiar with it, definitely. But if you're not as familiar, it's possible you could think it's not Lego. I mean, I can already see the Lego number there.
There's so many Lego connection points on it, though.
There's dozens of actual points.
In the last one of these videos, there were a couple parts that we did that were in this same color, the older pearl light gray. One of them was just like one of the Bionicle ball joint pieces, and then I think another one was like a big car engine. So I think it's just because this color's not around anymore, and because it's that kind of milkier color, people tend to...
That's true, yeah.
It just kind of looks fake at a glance, even though this has so many pretty obvious Technic connection points. So just something about that color just kind of looks fake.
Yeah, they don't use that pearl light gray anymore, so it's just usually more metallic now. So interesting. But Alex, what's the next piece you got?
Let's see. I think since we're talking about Bionicle, I'm going to jump to some Bionicle parts.
For sure.
We've got... Well, I actually had another part. It was a squid from the Baraki. And apparently it's been done before. So
we talked about that the last time we did this.
Squiddy had to go.
Yeah. But, I mean, honestly, it's probably one of the top contenders for parts that are thrown away.
Any of those little rubbery little guys.
Little guys, as Garrett calls them. Yeah.
So in Squiddy's place, we have the Bionicle... Ratuka spinners, and this is part number 50899, and this came on like the Toa Hordika, the Visorak, and also another part that goes with that was part number X1307. This is just a Bionicle gear. I wrote too small on my thing. Something. A Bionicle gear of some kind.
It's used in the assembly of the launching mechanism, right? So.
Yeah. Now, did those ones use, was it like a ripcord based system?
It was. It was like a ripcord piece. And honestly, this is one of my favorite play features in Bionicle because I had one of these Toa growing up, one of the Toa Hordika. And when you spin that ripcord as hard as you can, this thing's going to go to the ceiling.
Yeah.
And you can put it like in more of a attack position, have it come down, have it launch straight at something. It's fairly accurate. So
a lot of velocity, right?
Yeah, especially close range. So it's just a ton of fun. I've spent hours with this part, but it definitely doesn't. I mean, you can tell it's Lego, but it doesn't. I don't think it has the Lego symbol. Like
there's a lot of numbers on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Numbers, part numbers.
I can, and especially with the coloring and stuff, I can see why. This could be thrown away. If you're a Bionicle fan, you know exactly what this is.
Yeah.
If you're not, it's going to be more questionable, for sure.
I will say a lot of the sorters that we employ here tend to be a little younger, and Bionicle probably was before their time, so I would say a lot of them aren't going to recognize the fact that this is a very iconic Bionicle weapon. But Daniel, obviously you're not as big on the Bionicle scene. Would you recognize this as a non-Lego? I mean, obviously you did, but
yeah,
how do you feel about
I know some of this stuff. So I think with the stuff that gets thrown away when you're looking at it in context. When we've got it all here on the table and we know it all is Lego, it can be a little more obvious. But when you're sifting through, it's more about whether it looks like it goes to another toy. And this looks like it would go to another type of toy that's not Lego. And I think that's why that stuff typically gets flagged and pulled out in our sorting system. So, yeah, you know, when you know that it's Lego or when it's in the context of other Lego, it looks like, you know, Lego's quality of plastic and color and everything else. But if it looks like it might go to another toy, I think that's why they typically pull that out.
Yeah. If you want an ultimate test for the Google Lens, there's actually a little bit of Matoran writing on the side.
Ooh.
And I wonder, it's probably a code to go on Bionicle.com that no longer works, but that would be...
Play some Flash games.
Exactly, that would be pretty fun. All right. Well, Daniel, what's the next piece would you like to present?
Let's see. So here's the Google Lens update. So it was able to get the Duplo radar dish.
Oh,
It
wow.
was not able to get the Technic rubber bumper. I tried a couple different
Come on,
angles.
Google Lens.
The other thing, which I don't know if this was a feature last time we did this video or not, is when you do Google Lens, you can also type in the search bar. You can like add related words to refine it. And I even tried adding the word Lego, and it still wouldn't pull
Had
this
no
up.
idea.
Couldn't
Wow.
get the rubber bumper. Next one I'm going to do. This is a very small minifigure accessory. This is the Doctor Who sonic screwdriver that came in the Dimensions pack, and this was pulled out and flagged as trash because it looks like it could go to another toy. This could just as easily be an accessory for an action figure or something else, as well as it could a Lego minifigure. But this is part 21700 PB01. Only came out in 2015, which is 9 years ago now.
Wow.
This doesn't sound like it, but it's getting up there in age.
Good grief.
And I believe that is the only thing that it ever came in. Now, this does have a small, just the C in the circle for the copyright, but I don't see any kind of part number or Lego logo or anything, just because there's not a lot of real estate on there
So
to print it on there.
easy to miss if you're not familiar with that set. Yeah.
It's not crazy expensive. You can get them for like $1 or $2. It's pretty standard minifigure accessory prices. You see them pretty
I'm surprised
frequently.
it's that low for something so detailed. And I think that's why one of the reasons it was flagged or thrown away.
I
So
recognize this
detailed
immediately.
for that time, and
Oh, yeah.
even for today.
Molded in pearl
you don't
gold and
see
then
that
2
often.
printed colors on there as well.
Yeah. When you mentioned an action figure, it reminded me of early days of Atlanta Brick Co. This is like deep lore. Chris used to just go to like New York Toy Fair and sell minifigures. That's all he did. That's how Atlanta Brick Co. started.
Yeah.
And you remember this too, Alex.
Yeah, I remember that.
He also had, back when we first opened the store, he was just throwing some stuff out there. We had a non-Lego section, which is wild to think of now. But we had those little Doctor Who action figures that happened to snap on Lego studs, and they were corny as all get out. And so they that looks like exactly what they would have been equipped with. So I can see why that got thrown away. But
For sure.
yeah, I do recognize that Dimensions pack though, or the Kuso Lego Ideas set too. So
And this was unique enough that Google Lens was able to pick it up immediately.
there you go. Well, circles back to me, I suppose, here. Let's see. We just talked about accessories. I've got an accessory here.
Ooh.
And this one fooled me at first.
I almost did not catch this.
It almost got
close.
through.
But
Wow.
we'll talk about why. Yeah, this almost did not get through the second pass.
So I did not realize this was Lego until just a pretty close inspection. You can see the very faint outline of the word Lego on the very
it's
front. And
very,
then it
very
feels
faint.
like very obvious. But
I think this was laying face down in the bin, and I almost just scooted it to the trash side. But for whatever reason, I decided to pick it up, and it's faint, but it's very large, emblazoned Lego right across the
it's
front
very
of the life
surprising.
vest.
You really can't see it until you're super close in the light. But from far away, it's just invisible.
it makes you feel silly a little
Yeah.
bit. But yeah,
The light must have just been at the right angle in the sorting room or something, because I saw it immediately, and I was like, okay. And so I looked it up. I think I Google Lensed it, actually.
Yeah.
Looked it up, and sure enough, it was Belleville, and so it just kind of has to snap on
makes
from
sense.
the front, because those don't come apart.
Yes, to all our podcast listeners who are listening at
sorry,
home
we
and
didn't say the
frustrated
name
by
of
the
the
fact
part.
that I haven't even announced what it is yet, but this is the part number 30220, Belleville Clothes Life Jacket Child Figure Size, and then they actually listed the size of the piece in millimeters. No, it's...
Yeah, I
it's-
think there was a small one and a large.
Yeah, this
size.
is
There was
the
a child
smaller
size
size.
and
Oh,
an
cool.
adult size.
This is the child size. It was only released in 1 year, but it came in like 7 or 8 different sets.
Yeah.
1998, which was
all
a
the
while
same
ago now.
color.
all the same color. This kind of medium.
Was it like a summer wave?
Orange.
This Belleville
It was,
sets,
yeah, it was like a
and then
beach
everybody
summer
had-
wave of Belleville. Yeah, this is early Belleville because Belleville would have started around 96 or 7, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they only one year, and that was it. So, a very cool piece. I would have been fooled. So I understand why the guys might have missed it downstairs. But
Yeah, this is very understandable. But this is the kind of stuff that's why we save it, because I think this stuff is so cool to find.
yeah, I don't necessarily need it for any Belleville stuff I'm working on, but I might just set it aside for when I do need a Belleville life jacket. So.
I was surprised in pulling these parts out that I didn't find more like Belleville, Scala, and Fabuland, because that's the stuff that we're always hoping to find because they're the coolest parts, but we just don't get that much of it in anymore. You don't see it that often.
I think we get more and more, bulk brick, and kind of, I think we're leaning towards newer stuff too that gets traded in as bulk. So,
And it's just a lot of Mega Blocks, Tycho, Kobe is another one, M83.
action figures, Hot Wheels,
all of the basic, knockoff brand, just standard bricks. Most of what's in that trash bin is just standard bricks that are off brand, so they can identify those pretty well. But it's the unique molds that don't look like Lego that are the most interesting.
Interesting. Yep. Well, Alex, what's the next one you want to talk about here on your list?
So this is past Belleville.
Oh.
But very similar. We're looking at some of the Homemaker hair and helmets. These are numbers. The hair, it's X197.
Oh my.
The hat, it's BB015. And we have them in, the hats in different colors. And these come in different colors, but these are from the 70s. I know the hair in particular only released from sets from 1974 to 1982. They were actually pretty cheap still. This kind of stood out to me from the things that were thrown away, because it's not obviously Lego, but also, growing up, my dad had a lot of Lego that he gave to my brother and I, a whole bin, and these weird minifigures were in there that were a lot bigger than the ones we're used to.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest looking thing, and they were kind of brick built, but you could put this hair on them, the hats and stuff, and it just kind of, weirded me out a little bit.
It's very unusual, yes.
It just doesn't seem like it. But these were like the original minifigures, really. Or figures. I mean, I don't know if they're mini. They're kind of big.
I think Maxi Figures is another name that system is sometimes
Homemaker figures is what I like to call them. But yeah, they're weird.
Yeah.
So Alex, you had some of these growing up. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, at first glance, this actually looked like a Whopper that somebody just forgot to eat. But closer glance, this looks a lot like Playmobil, which is kind of similar scale.
So that's what I was going to say, was in going through the trash stuff down there was a lot of Playmobil hats and hairs. And so I had to be careful to pick out the ones that were and were not. So some of the telltale signs for these is almost all of the Homemaker headgear things have these two kind of parallel curved lines running through the center of them, because the top of the Homemaker head is a single stud on this sphere, so this way it can kind of sit further forward or back on the head. And then the hair pieces also have these perfectly round cutouts on each side, because the heads also had a stud right on the side of each head. So that's kind of how you would pick these out, as opposed to Playmobil hair, because this quality of plastic definitely looks kind of like the Playmobil plastic.
Doesn't look Lego.
Yeah,
Has
kind of a
vibe
weird,
for sure.
soft, chocolatey looking plastic.
Exactly. Very unusual. Oh,
Yeah.
And you have to actually study the inside, because the Playmobil head connection has that big round kind of shape, almost like a stud, but it's
kind
huge.
of like snaps on.
Yeah, like a snap-on lid, and so this is quite different. So you can tell, but you have to know that much about Playmobil and Homemaker to pull these out. So it's great.
I think one of the ones y'all talked about in the last video was some of the bigger like Technic figure, like motorcycle helmets and stuff. So I was surprised I didn't find any of those in there, because same vein. It's that larger size.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't recognize that as being Lego, because it's not for minifigures.
Yeah.
I wonder which one would have been more common, or it is more common in circulation, Homemaker or Technic figures.
There are a lot of Homemaker figures out there.
Yeah,
They're not
there
worth
are,
very much, but there's also a lot of Technic figures out there. So they're probably
Not
there's
far off.
probably an equal amount of high supply and low demand.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we think they're cool, and that's what we're
Yes,
talking about them.
yes.
So. Well, Daniel, what's the next element you got to present here?
Let's see. Let's go with one of Mark's favorites. So this is part 22392, and this is the shoulder piece for the Nexobots.
Oh no!
So from all the little Nexonite robots.
Oh, I think someone's calling me.
Yeah, it's me, Mark. It's me. I'm calling you. Your destiny is calling. These are the Nexonite little robot shoulder pieces. So they're just these little small rubbery pieces, and it's kind of a right angle curved thing, and you can put a bar in each end. So it's just these two kind of small holes. There's nothing anywhere on this that looks like a stud
I
or
can't believe you're touching
anti-stud.
that. Mark. Are you okay?
Connection.
Don't you have an allergic reaction to Nexonite?
Yeah.
Now, because this is a much more modern part, we're talking 2016 through 2018, there is a little rectangle on here that includes all of the information you could possibly want. It's just very small and very hard to read because it's a faint rubber. But it says copyright, it says Lego, it's got the year, it's got the mold number, it's got the part number.
Yeah.
It's all on there. It's just very tiny. And this just doesn't look like Lego. It's just a small rubbery part.
Yeah.
Came in a whole bunch of different colors. I think gray, green, blue, red probably. I don't know.
Yep, red, green, yeah, all the colors.
So plenty of different colors for that one to come in. They're very useful parts. I see lots of people build like little other different robots or mech suits or things. They're nice for kind of an unconventional right angle connection between two bars. So useful little part, but yeah, I'm not surprised these were pulled for trash.
Yeah. Very different texture.
It does have all the information on there, but it's smaller than the head of a pin, and it's not very deep either. It's very flush, I can barely make it out in this lighting, and it's
very faint writing.
You need like a microscope almost to read that.
Because Lego, and this is why they didn't put Lego on a lot of the parts early on, is because they just didn't have the capability to make it small enough in the molds for it to read. So as the technology has gotten better, they're able to make it smaller and smaller, but on this rubbery material, which is a little more almost translucent, it kind of gets lost on there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Alex, you're probably pretty familiar with Nexonite, so that wouldn't necessarily fill you with that kind of knowledge, but could you see someone, being bamboozled by that?
I could. I think more by the texture. It just doesn't feel as like the normal Lego plastic that we're used to.
Yeah.
So that can be a bit full. And since it's hard to see on there, even in the light, it's hard to make out what it says. I can understand why that could be done.
Well, and that's the other reason a lot of assorters throw this stuff away is because they're moving pretty quick. They're kind of just shoveling handfuls aside and picking out things for trash. They aren't very often going, oh, is that Lego? I don't know. Let me really look at it and try and see.
They're trained not to dwell on things. Yeah.
So. They're kind of rifling through and they're going trash, trash, trash.
Right. Well, short in probation.
Right. Yeah.
We want them to go faster, but that's why we save the trash so that we can go through it again with a little bit more of a fine tooth comb.
Now, did you say you might have said this at the beginning, but did Google Lens pick those up?
No. This was the other one that Google Lens was not able to pick up. So the two rubber parts is what fooled it.
Interesting.
And this was just so small. And there's not a lot of detail
not
on
much
it.
to
I
go
tried
on.
from a couple different angles, and it didn't want to do it.
Yeah, it's probably giving you bolts and utility items.
Yeah, there's lots of little random hardware pieces.
Well, this is one that gave me a few random hardware results, but they did eventually find the right one. I had to scroll a few scrolls on Google Lens to find it, but this is the part number 32580 hose soft axle 7 length. Now, I know this part exists because of older sets that I've purchased in the past, but I didn't realize it came in only 7 length because I'm more familiar with 10 or plus.
The much longer ones.
Much longer.
I'm sure that's the shortest.
Distance. This is probably the shortest that it makes, although I'll have to double check that. And also the medium blue is also kind of an unusual color. Do either you know where this is from? I'm guessing Daniel does. No? I might have even stumped Daniel on this one.
Medium blue.
It's in all sorts of colors, but medium blue specifically.
Is it like a Harry Potter set or something?
It's a good guess, but no.
Castle?
Also good guess, but no.
I feel like I know, but it's on the tip of my tongue.
It's on the tip of your tongue. Okay, I'll give you guys. I'll just tell you. It's the London architecture set, the small skyline.
Oh,
the
okay.
bridge.
Yeah.
It comes through as is.
Now I understand where this is
Bridge.
from.
That's good. Yeah.
But if you're not familiar with this hose piece, I could see this being thrown away just because it's rubber again. Doesn't really have any obvious Lego writing, even on the sides. Well, maybe if you look really close, but yep, I see it. But it's as small as the Nexonite shoulder piece there too, so it's tiny. So good luck finding that. And if you're just rifling through stuff, you pull this out with the Hot Wheels, you're not going to notice it. But yeah. So the fact that the Google Lens did identify it eventually was kind of impressive.
Yeah.
So 2001 to present, so that mold's still in production. So.
That's a good one.
All right, Alex, second to last, what do we got?
Yeah, so we have part part number 2536A, and it's a palm trunk. It's one of the ones you see from the classic Pirates, even adventure palm trees. It's a pretty expensive piece. It's $1 to $5, which really adds up when you gotta have like 10 to 15 just to make a decent looking tree. But it doesn't. I mean, to me, when you look at it and you aren't familiar with the older pieces, it doesn't really look Lego. It looks like it could be Playmobil or like something else, or Connects or something. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Does it look Lego to you?
I think you're giving them a lot of leeway on this one. I think you're being too nice. I'm pretty disappointed in our sorters for this one. Because these are so common.
Yeah.
They may have gone up in price a little bit, but they were in everything back then.
It's true, yeah.
I think the key word there, Daniel, is back then. Because half of the people down there were not alive when these things were stopped.
Neither was I.
Well, here's the thing. These would have been more common in like 98 versus now. So I can see why if you don't look for the recessed stud in there, then you're not going to see it. And so I could see people getting fooled by this. It's obvious to someone who loved adventurers as a kid like me. But,
or pirates or islanders.
The youth don't know the classic Lego pieces like we do. Yeah.
Adventurers isn't very well known.
Not really.
People think more Pharaoh's Quest or don't even know what that is. So.
If this had been, because I think there's a couple other rarer colors that this comes in. I think you can also get it in light gray. There was like a helicopter set or something. So if this had been not in brown, I think I would have been a little more forgiving. But given that this is like the most common color that it comes in,
brown,
palm tree
black,
trunks.
Grays, even reddish brown. That's actually the rarest color, I think.
Because that was only very short-lived in that color.
Yep, very cool. Yep, and the fact that it's gone up that much is kind of scary too. Because I remember that being a cheap piece. So, All right. Well, Daniel, I hope this next piece hasn't gone up too badly.
Let's see. What am I going to do next? Let's do... Okay, so this is part 15411. This is basically a 1x1 snot brick with, 1x1 brick with stud on the side. But on the other side, it has sort of the, like, power symbol like you have on your computer or something. And so the name of this part is conductive element. And this was part... Do you know what this is from?
I don't know where that's from, but I vaguely know that it's Lego.
It was made for app integration, if that helps you at all.
App integration?
Correct. So
really?
This is made out of a weird material. You can look at it up close.
Now I'm confused.
It almost looks like a fiberglass or something. It's got this kind of weird texture to it.
Yeah, that is weird.
But it's made so that when you... touch this brick to your phone, it can interact with your phone.
Yeah, I think you're
the material of it. What?
I think you're just messing with me.
No, I'm not.
You serious?
I'm serious. I'm dead serious. This was part of neither of you know?
No, I thought this would have been older.
This was the whole gimmick from Ultra Agents. So when Ultra Agents came out, every one of those sets had a little different build where these parts would be in a different configuration.
Really?
And then when you laid it down on your phone, based on the pattern of how many of them there were and where they were placed on the phone, it could tell which set that you had.
So that's the grounding point.
That was the grounding point. So
wow.
This whatever material this is made out of, it makes your phone think like you're touching it with your finger. And
interesting.
Yeah, like I said, based on either the pattern or the quantity, it could tell which set you had, and then it would be able to. I guess there was a game component or something on your phone
or app. Yeah, there's
scan something in like hidden side. But yes, Ultra Agents. So this was 2015 was the year that came out.
You're blowing my mind. I didn't know that was up. Oh,
yeah, and it says Lego right there on the top. And so if you look at it,
it just says
looks
low
like
on there. LO.
Yeah, that's the way they sometimes happen these days. But I can't say I'm too surprised that this got thrown away. It could have either been because they only saw the side with the power symbol, or because they thought the material looked weird, or maybe they actually looked close and thought the LO was like a knockoff thing.
Yeah, but all those things.
Yeah, conductive element made for app integration.
Dude, I thought you were kidding me for half your monologue there.
Nope,
that's crazy.
Dead serious.
This is the most mind-blowing element here so far.
I've used them a couple times in mocks just because I like that little power symbol.
Yeah, it's cool.
Side.
Cool. Yeah.
So if I tap that to my cell phone, it'll
I can probably unlock my phone with it right now. Let's find out. Let's see if I can...
Yeah, wow, that works really well.
Yeah, well, kind of. Yeah, it's just like touching with your finger. So I don't know if it's either like conducting the electricity through your finger or... Because I feel like part of it was you could just lay the thing on there. So I wonder if I drop it or...
Maybe it has to be more direct
I think it has to
connection.
conduct the electricity from your hand.
Yeah.
So...
But the fact that it
Whatever
does that is very
yeah,
impressive.
Whatever material it's made out of, I guess, is conductive.
Amazing. Wow. Huh, well, you learn something new every day, folks.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I can't believe neither one of you knew that.
No.
I'm very surprised.
Yeah,
It was
I
in
didn't.
basically every one of those sets. Now, a lot of the smaller ones only had 1 or 2 of them. The bigger, like, boats and bases and things would have, like, 4 or maybe even
That's
6.
really cool.
I don't
That's
know.
going on the thumbnail. That blew my
I'm
mind.
not surprised.
yeah.
I remember in the store back in the day when those were out, like 2015, 2016, they almost never sold, and
Yeah.
they were always
It's
stacking up.
It's a small little innocuous looking element, but it's got a very cool feature to
That's
it.
interesting. That's pretty cool. Well, here's the thing. As someone who knows all the old stuff, the new stuff can bamboozle me. And I still think of 2015 as a newer
2015,
year.
9
so.
years. Same thing.
Oh boy. Anyway, let's move 1 year past that, shall we, to 2016 with this Elves banner. The part this is one of probably 5 part numbers that are associated with this element. But
Yeah.
613904. Or excuse me, 40. And so this was available in 2 different sets, which would have been the Secret Marketplace and the Dragon Training School. And so 2 different sets, and this actually is somewhat obvious because it says 2016 the Lego Group on the bottom, which it would cause probation for
see
anyone who's
that.
working today.
I'm gonna hope maybe this one just got put into the wrong bin or fell, because there is a bin that's for like sticker sheets and flags and cloth pieces and flat things like that. Maybe
on
it just
one
fell
side
out.
it's blank. So
Yeah.
maybe they didn't turn it around, but
Maybe.
which is understandable, I guess. But
Yeah.
I immediately knew what this one was without having to see the date because it looks very Elves style. However,
Yeah.
Elves style was very off the beaten path for Lego
Yeah.
styling in general, so I could see them seeing that and thinking it's Disney princess, Polly Pocket,
Sure,
something
yeah.
a little more feminine, but not Lego. So what do you
Yeah.
guys think about those designs? You like those plastic banners?
It's cool, but I can't defend the sorters on this one.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
obvious.
There's a nice date
It's
on the
dark
bottom.
blue on like gold too, so it really stands
Easily
out.
legible.
So,
Yeah.
It's just
Beautiful
like
print,
fine
though.
print.
Yeah, they're nice looking. Good part.
Yeah.
Elves has gone up so much in terms of price, popularity.
They have. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Much more collectible. I'm not sure the price of it. I would guess a couple dollars. So,
Yeah.
For
Well, those are
unseparated.
those are still in the thing, which is nice.
Great for castle mocks.
Exactly.
Especially with the new D&D figures
There you
and
go.
set.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the Dragon Paladins.
Magenta and dark
Yeah.
blue. Pretty cool color scheme.
Dragon Castle. I put those banners up.
But that's my last piece. And the Google Lens got that one pretty quickly as well.
Yeah,
So.
I'm sure.
Alex, what's your last piece you want to talk about?
So I saved one of the best for last here. And this is, it's another long part number. I feel like I've been on a roll with
Take your
those
time
today.
with this one.
This is X1774CX1. And this is a
Goodness.
projectile form dart with black tip. It's $48 on average.
Oh my.
But this is, when I saw this, I thought Mars mission immediately.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it comes in only 2 sets. And I could only find it in the color blue, at least with this tip color. Comes in 7691, which is the alien mothership assault, and then 7690, which is the big base, Eagle Command base. So
I didn't know it was in the mothership set.
Yeah,
It's
there was
kind
a
of a
turret on the
small
ground,
launcher,
right?
yeah.
Did
It's
it
a
have the
turn on the
same
Yep.
big thing?
Same.
I think it was
know.
just the
Push thing.
pump and one tube and one launcher, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
A miniaturized
Same.
version.
Ton of
the base.
fun. Not the most accurate in
Yeah.
the world, and it didn't always work when you push
You gotta
down.
really give it some oomph.
Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, I forgot that was included in that set.
That's interesting. Yeah, and I can honestly see why, unless you know that set from
Yeah.
that theme
Yeah.
from that year, you're gonna think this is the cheapest Nerf dart knockoff you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
terribly low quality. You
Yeah.
can see the hot glue spilling out on
Yeah.
the edge where the tip is attached to the blue part.
It's nice and soft though, so if you get hit with this, it won't hurt too bad. But
In an alternate reality where we're like a whole store based around Nerf guns and we have like a sorting room where they go through like Nerf darts and things, they would be pulling this out to throw it away
Yeah.
because it looks like a knockoff off-brand.
Yeah.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're not in that Nerf reality. We're in the Lego reality,
That's
which
right.
I kind of am fine with. So, but man, that's a weird piece, Alex.
Yeah.
And I can see why it's gone up because I'm guessing it was mostly thrown away when it's found in there with all the other
Exactly.
Nerf darts and other things
Yeah.
that they're pulling out of their bricks.
yeah.
So, it doesn't survive into the collector's sphere of awareness that often. So.
There's not really anything else you can do with that.
No. Yeah.
Can you
So-
imagine collecting thousands of these and just displaying it? Can you imagine
Just
that?
a huge
People
bandolier
walk
of these
into your
guys.
collection.
Somebody
What's
out there.
that? Is that? This is part of my Lego collection.
That's true. That's something you could do. That we're still talking about mock potential. There's plenty of people who build like full body suits like out of Lego for like cosplay.
Yeah.
You could definitely do like a whole bandolier for it.
That'd be a flex.
Cool.
Yeah, like
That'd be cool.
$5 a bullet.
Yeah.
That'd be impressive.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's a neat piece, Alex. That's awesome. All right, Daniel, what's your final piece you want to present today?
Final piece. This is part number 48284. This is the original hippogriff wing that was made for Buckbeak. So this was in 2004 was when the first one debuted, and they had that sort of first large molded Buckbeak that didn't have any printing on it with the kind of spooky looking eyes, quite frankly. So these were dark bluish gray though. This was right after we switched over to bluish grays, and so there were two of them that just clipped onto the side. And these are really nice looking wings. They're kind of strangely, the feathers are very kind of square, which is kind of unusual, but I've still seen lots of people use these for gargoyles and statues and gravestones and
Weeping
things
angels,
like that.
yeah.
Weeping angels,
That's awesome.
sure. So it's still kind of a shape that hasn't quite been replaced by a modern component. I mean, there is sort of one that they use for like Pegasus and things like that now that's kind of similar, but this one's still a pretty nice, unique shape. What's also nice about this is the whole front edge of the wing is one giant continuous bar connection in sort of a strange curved pattern, so you could certainly get some interesting shapes out of that by putting clips lined up all the way on the edge of that or something similar. So I'm a little surprised that these got thrown away. I mean, they do still look like animal wings. It's got a pretty obvious clip on it. It definitely does say Lego right there on the bottom, but it is, again, kind of a little bit milkier of a plastic, and given that this was only alive for 2 years while they had that one hippogriff mold, it could be easy for them to not recognize this.
Yeah, most of our basement sorters were born after the year 2003
Yeah.
stamped on this piece, so
Yeah.
you can give them a little bit of leeway there, but yeah, it is also more obvious to read than some of the ones we've talked about.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it definitely feels different. It's not like because you can pick up a Lego piece and you can automatically know, that's Lego.
Right.
This is a little bit more, maybe
Waxy,
not. Yeah,
a little softer.
waxy,
in terms of like feeling it to me.
Yeah, but this is a really neat shape though. That outer bar edge just seems like there's mock potential there somewhere. I almost see like ears or something going on here. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Very cool element that only showed up for a little
Ooh,
bit.
That'd be nice
Yeah.
as scales
Pretty
on a
brief time
giant
period.
dragon or something.
And then
I
Buckbeak
needed
wasn't
that.
around for a long time until they reintroduced the modern one, which was a nice update and printed and everything nice.
Exactly, a big upgrade to a classic Lego animal. So
Yeah.
But wow, a bunch of pieces that were literally saved from the trash
That's right.
today.
Saved
Thank you,
from the
Daniel,
bin.
for your
Yeah, of
expertise
course.
and your knowledge.
I've been wanting to do this one for a while, so I finally went downstairs and sorted through some of that stuff so we could clear out some of those boxes and get some of these new parts for this video, which is kind of like a sister series, you could say, to the Rare Parts video. So I'm sure a lot of the same crowd will get good enjoyment out of this.
Yeah, this literally counts as a Rare Parts video because these
Yeah.
are all kind of somewhat unusual rare. Most of them anyway.
Same sort of format.
But yeah, that's pretty. And I really learned something with that Ultra Agents.
I can't believe that. Out of everything on this table, that's the one that
blew
really
my
got me.
mind. I thought that was something completely different. So hopefully you learned something as well watching this video, and appreciate you guys' thoughts.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe because we do these videos all the time. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.